The translation of
Me llamo Tom.
is, my name is Tom. However, you are literally saying, I call myself Tom.
Me llamo Tom.
Here's how you would say, I call myself.
Me llamo.
Me llamo. Myself I call.
Let's hear you say, I call myself.
She's partially correct in that the word, it represents I call myself, pero it's in reverse. Myself I call. Me llamo. Me llamo.
Me llamo.
Here's a challenge. Try to say, my name is Tom. Or the literal translation, I call myself Tom.
That's not the literal okay, y'all, that's not the literal translation. The literal translation is myself I call Tom. Me llamo Tom. Or me I call Tom.
Me llamo Tom.
Me I call Tom.
So far, so good. Can you figure out how to say, her name is Maria?
So would it be se llama María?
Ella se llama María.
Ella se llama María. She herself calls Maria. That is the literal translation. She herself calls Maria. You could argue that it is, instead of calls, is called. She herself is called Maria. That is that is the direct translation to, if you are a Spanish speaker coming into English, that translating it in that way is going to help you. And for me, vice versa, learning Spanish, if I think of it, if you want to talk about literal translation so that you can understand the structure, that is how you do it. Give me 1 second, y'all.
María
is one of the most common names in Spanish. It is a Catholic name that makes reference to the Virgin Mary. The use of biblical names is very common in Spanish-speaking countries. For example, a common male name is
Jesús.
which means Jesus. Now, can you figure out the best way to say, his name is Carlos?
Él se llama Carlos.
Él se llama Carlos. He himself is called Carlos. That is the direct translation. He himself is Carlos. He himself is called Carlos. Él se llama Carlos. Let me see. Another way to help you remember. His name, Carlos. His name, Carlos. So this would be considered in English double speak because you wouldn't need the L. Se llama Carlos. His name, Carlos. obviously the article, that's a whole, we already kind of talk about that, but that's a whole nother thing. Here, there would be no need in English to have the el for se llama because it's clear. Pero I think Spanish is the same way.
Let's hear you say they.
Ellos. Let's see if I'm right.
Ellos.
I remember.
Based on what you've learned so far,
Mhm.
you can figure out how to say they call themselves.
Ellos. Hold on, let me pause it. Ellos son, because it's plural for them. Ellos son, plural for them. So possibly, I don't know this yet. I'm going to check. But this is how, when you break it down and you're able to see like where things are supposed to be, the structures, it's easier to make an educated guess, is what I'm saying. Ellos son. Oh no. Ellos. So yes, son llaman. They call themselves. Let's see.
Ellos se llaman.
Ellos no son. Okay. So ellos se llaman. I got llaman correct and I got ellos. The reason I got son incorrect is they're probably going to explain to me now why it's se and not something else.
Did you say
Ellos se llama.
this is almost correct? However, similar to how verbs change their ending to agree with the subject of the sentence, they must also agree with the subject in number, that is, singular or plural. This is why
Se llama.
change to
Se llaman.
to create the plural form of.
Llamarse.
Okay, so they did not tell me about son. They did not say for he or she. I guess that's why they have the ellos. So ellos se llama, to call. So I'm starting to think it's not he calls or she calls. It's replaces in a way is their names, their names. Ella, or no, say is supposed to be, what was say again? Say is, it was supposed to replace he or she. So I'm not sure why say is also for plural, for the plural form of ellos.
Ellos se llama.
Ellos se llama. No sé. I'll look that up. Matter of fact, let me do it now so I don't forget. Why is it se llama? Se llaman and not son. It's se llaman and not son llamadas because llamarse, to be called, to call oneself, is a reflexive verb in Spanish, meaning the subject performs the action on themselves, requiring the pronoun se for, oh, there's the answer. I wish I could share this. Them, himself, herself, all are used for. So I thought it was just himself and herself, but the reflexive verb is used for themself, himself, and herself. For those pronouns. So to call oneself, say, is that reflexive verb is used for this group or individual calling themselves. Got it. To show that the people are calling themselves their name rather than saying they are called. Okay. I hope that makes sense. Let me go back.
Based on what you've learned so far,
Ellos se llaman.
Ellos. So they are not called. They call themselves. Ellos themselves are called, and that's why it makes sense why you say themselves are called, and maybe not change it to is or anything like that. Ellos se llaman. They themselves are called. So it's almost like saying they call themselves. Now I see why they consider this the direct translation for those who might not know English enough, or Spanish, their own language, English enough to be able to translate it in that way. So they, direct translation would be themselves, and it's not are called. It's call them. They themselves call them. That's what it really says. Got it. Ellos se llaman.
good job so far. Now, think of the way to say, their names are Carlos and Maria.
Ellos. Hold on. Ellos llamarse. Their names. They call ellos how would I say this? Ellos llaman ellos llaman Carlos y María.
Se llaman Carlos y María.
Okay, so it's no ellos. Se llaman Carlos y María. I'm trying to figure out why their names are se llaman. So you don't need ellos.
Se llaman.
Se llaman Carlos y María. Their names. They call themselves, really. Se llama. Remember, llama is to call oneself. Se is referring to he, she, or they. They themselves are called.
Llaman.
They by them. How can I put this? Say, their, llaman, are called by themselves Carlos y Maria. Well, technically they're not. Somebody gave them the name, but that's a whole other subject. Dice or repite, se llaman Carlos y Maria. They call themselves Carlos y Maria, or they are called Carlos y Maria. Se llaman Carlos y Maria.
Other popular male names in Spanish are
Pedro, Juan,
and,
José.
which also have biblical origins. For females,
Guadalupe, Claudia,
and
Laura.
are among the most common names.
I literally know, for the males, someone with each of those names. I've heard of Guadalupe in one of these like readings on this thing, but I've never heard of anybody with that name yet in person.
Now try and say, I am, for permanent states of being.
I am, ser.
Soy.
Soy. Oh, I. Soy.
Now, how do you think you would say, I'm John?
Soy Juan.
Soy John.
Oh, John. So John doesn't get his name changed?
Now, can you figure out the best way to say, I'm not Maria. My name is Juana.
No soy María. No soy María. Me llamo Juana.
No soy María. Me llamo Juana. Using what you've learned, see if you can figure out how to say, Hi, my name is Tom, and I'm from the United States.
Hola, me llamo Tom y soy de los Estados Unidos.
Hola, me llamo Tom y soy de los Estados Unidos.
Now try and say, Their names are Carlos and Maria.
Remember, y'all, this is a little tricky because you would think it'd be ellos, and I don't think they took it out for this one. So, se llaman, plural for their names, se llaman Carlos y María. I'm probably forgetting something, but let's see.
Se llaman Carlos y María.
Se llaman Carlos y María.
Let's see if you can say, Hi, my name is Tom, and I'm from the United States.
Hola, me llamo Tom y soy de los Estados Unidos.
Hola, me llamo Tom y soy de los Estados Unidos.
How do you say, Her name is Maria?
Se llama María.
Ella se llama María.
They like to add this ella, but they don't want to add ellos. I don't understand it. Ella se llama María.
Now, how do you say, His name is Carlos?
Él llama Carlos.
Él se llama Carlos.
Él se llama Carlos. Lo siento.
Nice. Now practice saying, They call themselves.
Son ellos themselves, they call ellos llaman, hold on. Ellos se llaman.
Ellos se llaman.
Whoop, whoop. Whoop, whoop. Whoop, whoop. They themselves are called. Okay? Just say it like that. They themselves are called. Ellos se llaman. Ellos se, themselves, se, are called. Llaman. Ellos se llaman. I'm just saying, I'm trying to find a way for y'all to remember. Whoop, whoop. Whoop, whoop. All right, let's do our review. This is the hardest part.
Try to say, What is his name?
¿Cómo se llama? Oh, his. ¿Cómo se llama?
¿Cómo se llama?
Woo woo.
Do you remember how to say, What is your name?
Remember, we're not actually saying what is. We're saying how is his name? You're saying how. How is your name? ¿Cómo te llama?
¿Cómo te llamas?
Informal. ¿Cómo te llamas? I'm going to say yes because I wasn't paying attention. There I go.
How do you say, What is your name?
Formal. ¿Cómo se llama usted?
¿Cómo se llama usted?
Whoop, whoop. Whoop, whoop. I did that, y'all. I guess that's it. All right, tomorrow we are moving on to lesson 3. We're moving on to lesson 3 tomorrow. We got miércoles, jueves, viernes, y sábado. What? Oh my gosh. I think I was supposed to do one last Saturday. Let me see how long this one is. Ooh. Mm-hmm. $61. Oh my God. So I guess maybe, hopefully, let me see what the 7th one is. All right, maybe we'll do it for the last one. We'll do 2. Yeah, maybe the last one we'll do 2. Or the one before last. So 5 and 6 we might do on the same day so that we can get done 7, our listening and reading, and then our recap. Unless y'all want to see, you can't do listening yet until we finish so that y'all hear all the words that we've been learning. So we'll see. Maybe 4 and 5 might need to get done together. Or 3 and 4. We'll see. And then we'll put them together and we'll do 2 in one day. And then I won't talk so much. All right, y'all. Hope y'all enjoyed this lesson. I will see you later. Peace.